Now let's pivot and talk about questions that you ask the franchisor. So here's some questions to ask the franchisors. Is you want to know the background of the franchise, how it got started, and the background of the executives. Look, at the end of the day, you're buying into a model and a system, and you've got to follow that system, right? So you want to know who's leading the system, who's leading the charge, because the difference between a franchisor's success, how they support their franchisees, can depend a lot on who's at the top, who's calling the shots, who's making the decisions. So you want to understand what their backgrounds are, what they've done. Have they been franchisees themselves? Are they new to the franchise space, etc.? You want to know what their criteria is for choosing a franchisee. There are some franchisors that say, "Hey, we want franchisees with this specific personality style, high D, type A, achiever type personality." And you might be a thinker where you're very logical, analytical, you overthink things. You may not be a good fit for their system, because to be successful in that system may require you to be able to be swift and make decisions quickly, and that wouldn't be a skill set of yours. But you want to know overall, what's their criteria. The franchise that we're looking at, they want the owners to, or at least one of the owners to, be operating the business in the beginning. And they're very clear about that. Who will be operating the business? That's when I point to my wife. I'm like, she'll be doing it. We did our first few franchise locations. I ran those things. I did 99% of the work. But our family situation is a little bit different now. But that's something that you want to ask. You want to ask, like, hey, what makes you guys different from some of your competitors? What do they say? Do you believe it? Do you buy into them? Does it sound right? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you should choose their competitor. You understand about your territory and how it will be protected. Now, this will be in the FDD, but it'll be good to hear from the franchisor. And then you want to ask them about support, right? So one of the things you want to ask them about is, hey, how do you support franchisees? What's your training look like? What does that support look like for first-time franchisees? Who will I be working closely with in the first year? What experience do those people have? What happens after I leave training? What does the support look like there? And so you want to understand those things. One of the biggest things that you want to understand from the franchisor is, how do they support you? And you also want to ask them, hey, what are the top franchisees doing? What are you seeing? What's the difference between the franchisees that are successful and the franchisees that are not successful? And you get a pretty clear idea of what's driving that success or not. Another thing you want to ask is, where do you see the company 5 years from now? Like, are you planning any major strategic changes, right? You want to get an idea of where they're going. Are they visionaries? Because there are franchise systems. Think Blockbuster, right? Blockbuster was a franchise. Some of you might go, who's Blockbuster? Depending on your age watching this, look it up. But Blockbuster, who was it? Redbox, I think, went to Blockbuster to be acquired at some point. They wanted Blockbuster to buy them out, but Blockbuster didn't adapt. They did not. They didn't innovate, right? So they wind up, closing down. And so you want to understand how the franchisor is innovating. What are their strategic changes? What are they doing to stay ahead and to stay relevant and with technology, etc. So those are the things you want to know. If you enjoyed this short clip from the podcast, you can check out another short clip right here. Or if you want to watch the full episode of this podcast, you can watch that here. And remember, knowledge is not power. It's applied knowledge that's power. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.